Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little bit of a train wreck. It's going to be a little bit all over the place. It's going to have a little bit of life updates with what's been going on here with me. And I'll actually be talking about the makeup this time and telling you what I'm using. I just kind of wanted to branch out and do some different things. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this look, the journey that life has been here lately, the journey that it was to get this makeup look, just keep on watching. So if you're thinking to yourself, I look a little bit thrown away, you are not wrong. Here in Texas, we have had record-breaking snows and ice storms, and that translates to no electricity and no power. I lost power Monday at 5 a.m. and did not get it back until Wednesday at 9 p.m. I had water out since Tuesday, 5 p.m. and just got it back maybe an hour ago. I haven't showered since Sunday and it is now Friday. So my skin is breaking out. My hair is an oily mess. I feel like a disaster. So I just wanted to sit down, do my makeup. I have my jewelry on, I have my nails done. I wanted to feel a little more normal, and it's amazing what those luxuries will make you feel and how much better you do feel when you have those things. So that's what this is. So we'll get started. Alright, so I'm going to be using the YSL All Hours foundation today. I haven't really dipped into this foundation in a while. Wasn't really my favorite, so I just kind of wanted to revisit it and see if my thoughts were the same on it. I remember it being a little thick and a little heavy, so we'll see. I'm taking the shade Ivory, and I'm going to be using this on a brush today. I normally am more beauty blender, but I just kind of wanted to see maybe just like a light application and how it would be. Oh yeah, she's thick. And this is a Sephora brush. This is the 56. Again, I don't really use this style of brush. If I do use a brush, I'm definitely not going to use this style of brush. It's more loose. I would grab this more for like contour or even like blush. But I've been watching Bailey Sarian a lot. I love her videos. I love her makeup. I love her personality. And she always uses brushes that I wouldn't expect necessarily for foundation, and it's inspiring to me to try it. So I just wanted to do that, and this actually looks like it's applying very well, like better than what I was expecting. That bump on my Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer bump. We'll see if we can cover that. That actually looks a lot better than what I expected. But like I said, this foundation just is kind of more paint-like. Like when you pump it out, it's just really, really thick. And I never really liked that, but I might have been using too much. I tend to be very heavy-handed with foundation, and that can jack up a foundation real fast if it's not meant to be applied that way. Alright, now that I've got my foundation applied, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer. This is the shade Swan. I got this foundation applied and it looks really good like on my cheeks, like from my eye down. Forehead kind of looks like a disaster, but then again, it may be because I haven't showered since Sunday and I'm extremely textured. Do I blame it on the foundation? Do I blame it on the lack of skincare that I have been doing since all this has been going on? I don't know. You decide. I'm not going to take a whole lot of this. Just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and go up on my eyelids. And do I blend this out with a brush or do I blend this out with a sponge? I think I'm going to go for a sponge. Just because just because it's what I'm used to. And yes, this beauty blender is disgusting, but you're not using it, so it's okay. I hope you guys all have been doing well if you are experiencing weather anything like what we've been experiencing in East Texas or Texas in general. I hope you guys are staying safe. It has been wild. I lost 2 garbage bags full of refrigerated and frozen food. I cook a lot, and it was heartbreaking to see all of that food just go completely to waste. But like, I had some beautiful steaks in there, and they turned black. Like, it was just a disaster, and the refrigerator started smelling just terrible, and it's just so sad to see. And like, as well off as I am, I know so many people were struggling worse than I am, and like, it was hard on me. Like, it got down to 37 degrees inside my apartment. I mean, you're seeing your breath come out. Like, it's so cold. So it was very difficult. Living off of chips and crackers, I ended up baking a potato in the fireplace, and that's another thing. I'm so lucky that I have a fireplace. The amount of people who are just left to fend for themselves, and I have excess of so much blankets and all of that. Like, I can't imagine how difficult this whole thing was for other people, because it was hard on me. I'm taking the Huda Beauty powder in the shade Cupcake, if I can get it open. I'm picky about powders, and I guess that's because I can pull a little bit dry and textured. So I'm very funny about my powders, because they can make or break you quick. Except the smell of it is awful. Absolutely awful. It's like perfume from the 80s is what it reminds me of, or the 90s. I wasn't born in the 80s, so I guess I can't speak on that. But like, you know how if you know White Diamond, the perfume, how that's so just in your face strong. This is the exact same way. It doesn't really smell the same, but like, I don't know why they did that with this powder, because it's such a good powder. It's so smoothing to me, and I can really tell a difference when I use it versus when I don't. This is probably my favorite setting powder. And also, since I'm so fair complected, powders have a tendency to oxidize on me and really just look a little crazy when you set your concealer. But this one does not do that to me. This is the kind of, it's really, really, really pale pink, and it works for me, so I really like it. Okay, I'm going to be going in with the Fenty bronzer in the shade Into Sun on a big fluffy Morphe brush, and just kind of blow this out. I don't want to be super, super bronze, which this is kind of more of a cool tone bronzer. I have to be careful with this one. It can look a little more gray on me, and I notice it more at the end of the day than I do when I first apply my makeup. I love the formula of it, but it's a little cool tone for me. I want to check out like the next shade up and see if I could get away with it, because I think the next one up is a little bit more warm tone than this one. But you see, it's just a really pretty bronzer. It buffs out really well. It doesn't cling to any areas, I've noticed. And it's good for, I like to do just a little bit of a subtle nose contour, and I like it for that, but I don't reach for this product a ton. Alright, now that I've got my bronzer applied, I'm going to go in with a blush. This is an oldie but a goodie. This is Pop It On Peach by Too Faced. Who remembers this one? I love this blush. It to me is like the perfect peachy pink. Not a huge fan of blush. I go in waves where I like to apply it, and then others I just skip it completely. But this one it has a slight sheen to it, but it's not one that's going to emphasize pores. I have very enlarged pores on my cheeks, so I'm picky when it comes to any shimmer on that area. So it doesn't affect it too much, or if any at all. Actually, I don't notice a difference. My under eyes look like trash right now. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's the foundation or what. Like I said, I haven't used this foundation in a long time. And it was never my favorite. So, this might be a disaster in general. I don't know. We'll find out. Alright, for my highlighter, I'm going to be using NARS Albatross. I haven't used this much at all, actually. So I'm kind of, this is something I don't really have an opinion about because I haven't used it that much. So I just kind of wanted to see. This is a lot of products that I don't use often. So I didn't really realize that when I was picking things out, but I was reaching for things that I just kind of wanted to change it up a little bit and see. This highlight is pretty. I love the color of it, but it's a little bit more of a drier formula, and I kind of prefer a little bit more creamy when it comes to my highlights. It's a beautiful color though. It's white, but it doesn't pull like cocaine white on your cheeks, like you just have this white line on you. It blends into the skin better than what a lot of them do that are white highlights. I'm gonna go in with City Beauty City Lips. This is a lip plumper. I like to use, like, even like the Too Faced one, Lip Injection, I think is the name of it. I like to use things like this before I apply my lipstick. Like right before I do my eyeshadow, I like to put things like this on just to kind of fill the lips. After you apply your foundation, they tend to be very dry, at least for me. So just to kind of bring them back to life. Okay, now that I've got my brows set into place with ABH's Clear Brow Gel, love that brow gel, I'm going to go in with Aunt Pat's Bronze Seduction. We know this palette. We love this palette. We want this palette. I highly recommend it. It is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like I'm saying this about everything that I've talked about so far, but I don't reach for this a ton, and it's not because I don't love it, because I do. I just feel like this is my special occasion palette. Like, I don't reach for this all the time, but when I do, it always feels special, and after everything that has happened, I want to feel special. Don't judge me. So I'm going to be dipping into I'm not going to say all the names of this because I'm just not going to. I'm going to dip into the lightest brown shade just on this is a Morphe blending brush, and I like Morphe brushes with Pat's formula because they're stiffer. And if you haven't used Pat McGrath eyeshadows before, they're not difficult to work with, they're just different. And they take kind of, well, a stiffer brush. If you bring out a big fluffy brush and dip these into these mats, you're not going to get them how they're meant to perform. And I'm going to take that kind of down into my nose a little bit, because I want to be kind of blown out and a little bit weird. I know that might sound kind of strange to you guys, but I just want it to be a little more dramatic, because that's just how I'm feeling today. I'm taking the same shade on a little pencil brush. This is also from Morphe. All the eyeshadow brushes that I'll be using are from Morphe. And I'm just going to smudge that out on my lower lash line. The same color, and be sure to connect. This is a pet peeve of mine. there's a gap in between there. I hate that on myself, and I'm bad about not realizing that I've done that. Alright, now that that first shade has been blown out, like big time blown out, I'm going to go in with the deep purple shade. This shade is beautiful. It's kind of like a little bit eggplanty. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous color. And I'm just going to grab that on a slightly fluffy brush. You can tell that I've actually used some purple on this, so we're going to grab, all my brushes need to be washed. How many of you need to wash your brushes and you just don't, and you put it off and you put it off and you put it off, and then here you are with these absolutely filthy brushes, and you're just using them anyway, and you just, you know, you just ignore it. But it's in there, it's in the back of your head, and you know that you need to wash them, but you just don't. Go wash your brushes. I'm adding that to my to-do list. I just got water back. I'll add it to my to-do list. I promise. Promise. I'm just taking that shade. You see how pigmented these are? These shades are so in your face pigmented, and that's why stiffer brushes make a world of difference when using Pat McGrath's formula, because big fluffy brushes are just going to like away. And yes, I've got fallout. We'll fix that later. That is one thing. I didn't really tap off my brush. And you do kind of have to watch out with Pat McGrath's formula is fallout, especially with the shimmer shades. They're messy. I mean, there's no way to deny that. They're messy, but they're gorgeous. I'm just taking this and just kind of going back and forth, and I'm doing like a stippling motion. Since I do have hooded eyes, it's hard for me to just full on like blend and like buff like you always hear windshield wiper motions and circular motions and stuff like that. But since I've got so much extra skin on my lid, it's hard for me to do that without creating like these ripples in my inner corner. So I find for me that the best way to blend eyeshadow is just to press into the skin and just keep doing that. Okay, I'm going back in with the same brush that I started out with, no additional product, and I'm just going to buff the edges of this and kind of blend it all together. Get rid of any harsh lines that we may have created when we laid down that purple shade. And on the same little pencil brush that we used earlier, I'm going to dip into that purple shade again and carry that a little bit tighter to my lash line than I did that brown shade. Because I don't want this to be quite as blown out as that other shade. I just want to add some depth. Okay, and I'm just continuing to blend out this eyeshadow. Since this is such a bold color, I just really want to take my time and make sure everything is buffed out. I got a little patchy in my crease. That's nothing new for me, because I do have hooded eyes. The more I open and close my eyes, like at the end of the day, my eye will have eaten away eyeshadow in my crease. That's just kind of how it goes. So I'm going to be taking a little flat shader brush. This is the Morphe 166. It fills in the eye quite nicely for me because I do have little lids. I'm going to be taking the concealer. I'm not going to go for like a full cut crease. I'm not gifted with cut creases, but I'm just going to give the shimmer shades a little something to grip onto. And I'm not going to be precise with this by any means because I'm not going like sharp, just cut crease. I'm just going to kind of pat it. Okay, now that I've got the concealer down in a shape that I'm pretty happy with, gonna touch that up just a little bit because we got a little wonky. I'm gonna go in with the little blending brush that I took with the purple shade and just kind of buff around that. And it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit on because I'm about to lay a pretty pigmented shimmer on it. But just to kind of buff that line out because I don't want it to be so harsh. And I'm just stippling over the concealer to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to be going in first with this rose gold shade, and I'm going to be taking this on my finger. To me, this is my favorite way to apply Pat McGrath's shimmer shades because they grip your fingers. Like, the heat of your finger is just going to help it stick and help it from getting so bad fly away. And I'm just going to press that in, and you see how gorgeous that is. It is so, so gorgeous. And I'm just pressing that in all over the lid where I laid that concealer down, and I'm going to start buffing it up with my finger into my crease. I really like a shimmer in a crease, and I know that's kind of like, you know, a no-no when it comes to makeup, but I really like the look of shadows being so blown out and carried up into the crease. Even though I do have hooded eyes, I feel like it works for me. And it helps just kind of make the look a little more soft. Okay, with a blending brush, I'm just gonna buff that shimmer in the crease so they come together and become a little more seamless. And we're just buffing just all over just to help make sure everything is smooth. Like that. Okay, so for my inner corner highlight, I'm going to be going in with the same highlighter that I used on my face. This is NARS Albatross, and I'm going to be taking that on a flat shader brush. For my inner corner, I don't always go for like those really small detailed brushes. Sometimes I do, but I tend to like a bigger brush like this because I like to carry my inner corner up almost from the nose to my eyebrow. It just creates a very unique look to me, and I really like it. Alright, back in with the blending brush just to kind of remove any harsh edges from that, and we're good. Alright, so for mascara, I'm going to use the L'Oreal, is this L'Oreal? It doesn't say. The Lash Paradise. Alright, for lips, I'm going to be using Maybelline's lip liner in Totally Toffee. And for lipstick, I'm going to be using NARS Power Matte Lipstick in the shade Get It On. Okay, and for gloss, I'm going to be using Revlon's Rosy Future. This is a beautiful gloss. I highly, highly recommend Revlon glosses. Their formula is so good. It's not sticky, and it just adds like the perfect shine to your lips. Alright guys, this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a little all over the place and a little chaotic, but such is life. So I kind of wanted to branch out and do different styles of videos. I definitely will be going back to what I've done so far because that's what I feel more called to do and more of like my direction. But I definitely want to mix in some more like classic style like beauty YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.